So the idea, and I'll flip this around before I get started and say hello. All right, here we go. Let's flip the camera. Use headphones to hear how you sound to viewers. Oh, this is interesting. I don't really like that. Okay, flip camera. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. So, if you don't know me yet, my name is Zach Dobson. I'm a professional commercial and editorial photographer. I take a documentary approach to photography. So I'm looking to show the world as it is, to find the beauty that exists, to tell stories about people and places. And it's really about, being authentic, being, true to life. Yeah, I don't edit the photos in a way that, looks different from real life. I don't do a lot of post-production or anything like that. I don't stage or pose subjects. I don't set things up. I don't, Photoshop stuff. So it's really about showing places and moments in time that actually existed. I want my photos to be a part of like a historical record that, when people see my images, they know they have, my background's in journalism, and my photos have, meet journalistic guidelines, which means that, they're candid and documentary in nature and are not, even the color, I try to be an accurate representation of what the color was that I saw, as opposed to like really saturating things or making them like moody or anything different than what they looked like when I was out shooting. So that's what I'm going to do. When I do these photo walks, I shoot with my mirrorless camera. Let's see, let's put it on this way. I know how to put my camera over my head. It's just when I have these headphones on, I don't want to get too tangled up. So I have different gear that I use when I shoot for clients and when I shoot for myself. When I'm out myself, what I like to use is my Fujifilm mirrorless. With this lens is a 23 millimeter, but it's a crop sensor camera, so it's the equivalent of a 35 millimeter f2 lens. So just real simple. I have a longer lens in my bag, but I almost never take it out. I like to show how can you reach someone. And let me say too, while I'm doing this, I like I'm happy to answer questions either about anything photography related. It doesn't necessarily have to be about what I'm shooting or how I shoot it. It can be about finding work as a photographer or gear. I'm not a real big gearhead. I don't, especially when it comes. There's a lot of people shooting film these days, which is great. I'm happy that people are into that, but I don't. I've been 100% digital for like 17 plus years. So, I don't know a lot about film cameras, film stock, that kind of stuff. If you want to reach, it depends. How can you reach someone to see if they want a portrait? Are you trying to get work, or is there someone that you want to just take their portrait? Part of it depends on that. I'll email people. I'll DM people if I want to do a project. So one thing I do is a lot of personal projects. I try to find things that I think will be interesting to shoot. Because I like to tell the stories. Ideally, I like to try to get the stories published, but at a minimum, then it goes in I can do a blog post about it and have some more content for my blog. I can make a video out of the photos that I take and have, more content for TikTok and Instagram and things like that. So I approach people about doing stories all the time. So I'll just send an email and send an intro. Hey, thanks for joining from Germany. Good to see you. I thought I might have a lot of people on this morning from other parts of the world because it's a little early where I'm at. It's after 8 o'clock here. It's 8:11 in Indiana. But, I don't think a lot of people in the U.S. are getting on TikTok this early in the morning. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm going to flip this around and show you what I'm seeing while... Oh, Puerto Rico, okay. Excellent. One of my friends here who I work with a lot is from Puerto Rico. Good guy, good people. I'd really like to go visit there. Oh my God, cats. I know. We thought our cat, I mean, this is like 10, 12 years ago, woke us up so early. And that was before we had kids. And then we had kids, and our kids wake us up way earlier than our cat ever did. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around to show you where I'm at. So I'm going to do just a walk around. This is like the main street area. Well, so this is a trail. This is like a running and biking trail that goes all the way downtown Indianapolis. Okay, I will. I'm going to screenshot that, and then I'll remember where you said. So this is like a running and biking trail that goes like, I don't know, 25, 30 miles from the northern suburbs to downtown Indianapolis. The city I'm in is called Carmel. It's like the first suburb directly north of Indianapolis. So this trail goes down, and at this next intersection up here where those buildings are is the main street. So it's a mix of old and new buildings, but mainly what I'm doing, so part of why I don't go out and shoot in the winter much is because here in Indiana, it tends to be very gray most of the time. And I primarily am looking for this. I'm looking for where the sun's poking through, following the sun. So I always tell people, sorry, my camera's popping out of the, there we go. I'm always looking to follow the sun. And how can I show the light? I like to lead with the light. And I think, I mean, you can get amazing photos just following the light and finding where the light hits. I like this strong diagonal that comes through. And I'm really, one thing that I tell people when they're first starting to take pictures, yeah, the shadow here is nice. So I'm going to take, I'm getting caught up in my headphones here a little bit. Here we go. So I'm going to shoot. You might be able to hear. Whoop. So I didn't recalibrate from when I was shooting inside the other day, and now I'm at ISO 800 here, and that's not going to cut it. So let me get dialed in. One of my only criticisms of this camera is that it only goes down to ISO 200 unless you're shooting in a very specific mode. So yeah, this is basically the shot that I'm going to do. I like to wait for things to come through the frame. Like if a car kind of split that shadow, or someone walking with a dog or a bike. So if I really love a setup, if I really love a light setup, I'll wait for that to happen. And so I saw somebody ask, this is Carmel, Indiana. It's a suburb of Indianapolis. And that's the United States, if anyone couldn't tell. It must be. That's funny. So yeah, this is like great. And so one of the things I tell people who are newer is really, look at that full frame, all the way to the top, all the way to the sides. Oh, does it? Well, this part of the town is really more modern than a lot of areas. It's more walkable, bikeable. You'll see there's like two paths here. This is more of a walking path, and then there's a running, biking path down there. And it's all, I mean, if you look at the stonework, you can tell it's all very new here. So it's pretty cool. But looking through, so I look and get, I like to have in this one the top of the frame in the building, and this like making the edge. And I watch when there's a strong diagonal. If I can, I like it to hit the actual like corner of the frame, just to it really just draws the viewer's eye in. This part here especially just like pulls it in there. You mostly shoot black and white film. Yeah, black and white, definitely. Looking for lines and composition. It really, when you strip away the color, I shoot everything in color, but I convert a lot of things to black and white. I like the color. To me, the color is like another element of a composition. It's I want it to add something, or I don't use it. You know, it should convey the scene a little bit more. So what I'm seeing in my camera is a lot more contrasty than what you can see on the screen here. I mean, I'm going all the way to black in the shadows, so it makes a nice one there. So, you know, walk a little bit. I don't necessarily do a lot of people stuff while I'm out doing the photo walks. Hey Kyle, good to see you, man. I wondered if I'd see anybody that I knew up this early. Since there's a lot of people coming through, I see some people coming with the dog. I'm gonna leave my shadow in this frame up. You're seeing it how I'm seeing it. I mean, this is nice light. This took a couple frames when they ran through. I'd like to try to include people in the shots to give more of a sense of place and scale. If I'm really, working things, or I'm working for a client, so I do a lot of work for travel and tourism, and what I'll do is if I see a scene where there's people doing something and I think it's nice, I'll ask them if they mind if I take a picture. Like, I was in this area and there's some people playing chess outside, and I just asked if I could take their photo, and they were fine with it. So yeah, the red really pops here, doesn't it? That's nice with the people coming through. Let me see if I can see. If you can see it all what I'm getting. It's not a great view, but that's not bad. My general, I like that. Can you see that at all? A little bit. I'm curious what it would look like if I shoot also at a higher f-stop. I was shooting at f2. I'm going to try it at maybe like f8. No, let's go all the way to f11. Can you hear the click when I take a shot? I'm curious about that. Sometimes I can, when I have the headphones in or not. Let's take a look at that. Thanks, Kyle. Yeah. Here, let me step back. This is dark on my screen. I underexposed it a bit. But just add some elements. I definitely take a page out of Lee Friedlander's book. Do you all know Lee Friedlander? I haven't really done anything about him yet, but I really like his work a lot. I take a kind of a frame. I know we still got some holiday decor up here, I guess. I take a frame out of his page or whatever, out of his book. It's kind of interesting. I'll get to that in a second. I like Lee Friedlander often leaves himself in the photos in some manner. It could be his shadow or his reflection or something like that. And I like to do that on occasion myself because it kind of, I'm a part of the scene anyways. And especially when I take pictures with my family and my kids, then I feel like I'm in the photos in some manner. I don't feel self-conscious because I've trained that out of myself. There might be some things I still feel self-conscious about, but taking photos out in public and talking to myself, I think people know enough if they see me I have a headset in and I'm carrying my camera. I'm carrying my phone on a tiny tripod. And here, let's take a look up here. This is nice for some reflections and stuff. We've got a good line here. I like the jet passing through there. That's kind of cool. But I started in college, I found that to get the photos that I wanted. I often had to look weird, so I kind of started to get over it. Like, I remember lying down in the middle of a grocery store. I was shooting an assignment for the student paper or something, but I was like, I have to lay down on the floor to get the angle that I want. And so I'm like, fuck it. It'll be worth it. Other people can't see it. They don't know. They don't understand. Most people don't know why, laying on the ground would give you a much different of a photo than crouching, or sitting or standing up. They don't have like the vision for that kind of stuff. Looking for reflections. These are nice. This would be a cool photo if the place was open and the people were in there. No, this part of town, this looks like some of the stuff they're building in Bloomington. It really does. This is Carmel. If you're not familiar, Carmel is like the first suburb north of Indianapolis. So this right here that goes this way is Main Street. So that's Main Street, and then there's this running trail that goes all the way downtown. Downtown via this trail is probably about 15 miles away. Yeah, Carmel. So this is where I'm at. If anyone's just stopping in, I'm Zach, professional commercial editorial photographer. I do like a documentary style of photography. So I do these photo walks to kind of show people my process of finding good photos in everyday situations, because, especially if you're active on sites like Instagram, it feels like it's all inaccessible. You're looking at tropical waterfalls and ocean views and mountain vistas and, people waking up and looking like they're in some rickety cabin, and then they open the door and they're like on top of a mountain in a fire tower or something. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But most of us aren't doing that stuff very often, if at all. So, I want to talk about getting great photos in everyday situations. Like, what can you find in your neighborhood, in your town, in your house, in your yard, if you're, fortunate enough to have a yard. So this is, I like to walk around and just kind of show. So what here, I love this strong. So I always lead with the light. Yeah, you're right. That reflection is really cool in that fixture right there. I agree. Well, that's cool. I'll have to look for that post, Kyle. I'd like to check that out. Hey, thanks, Travis. I appreciate that. And I'll probably say, if you're on more than 5 minutes here, I'll probably say this over and over again. I like to lead with the light, see where the light's coming in. If I can get out this earlier, where there's a lot of spaces where it's still nice, deep shadows. So, I was walking by and my eye was drawn to the light and how it hits this strong vertical. I like the shapes of the windows. Yeah, that light, that big round light, everything's really square except for this light, and then you've got kind of the round of the table. Camera question. I'm going to take this shot and then I will answer the camera question. So I'm going to line this up. And it's interesting, even as a professional, I found I was limiting myself for a long time. With aperture, I was shooting everything at like f2, f1.4, and I'm like, I got to kind of break out of that. So I'm trying now to consciously shoot higher f-stops when I find it's appropriate. Like here, I think it could work pretty well. So I'm shooting at f8 right here. And again, just lining it up. I'm framing it basically like how you're seeing here. Yeah, most of my work is freelance. I have some regular, all of my work is, contract work. I'm a contractor. I work for different publications. I'd say about 90% at least of what I do is commercial work. So I'm shooting for advertising purposes. I do a few editorial shoots every now and then. But yeah, mostly commercial. I'm going to try one a little bit lower. So I'm going to flip this around because you asked about the camera. I'll show you my camera that I'm using. Good morning. This kind of camera, the mirrorless cameras. Oh, professional musician. That's awesome. What did you play? My brother was a piano player in the Navy band, one of the Navy bands. They've got like 100 bands. Um, I like these Fujifilm cameras a lot. This is this style is called a mirrorless camera, because in the traditional SLR or DSLR cameras, you're looking, okay, you play piano too, that's cool. Yeah, it's fun. I grew up playing, but I was never as good as my brother. My brother was really good. He went to Interlochen, have you heard of that, the music school in Michigan? So the mirrorless, instead of looking through, I don't know, you probably don't care about that. I like these because they're compact. They're discreet. I have my gear that I shoot for client gigs is like Canon DSLR, so they're a lot bigger. But these, like, especially when I'm traveling and doing things like that, I can walk into restaurants and bars and places and take photos, and people don't pay any attention to this because it just looks like I'm a tourist. So how compact they are, they're more affordable than a lot of... So Canon and Nikon now are introducing more high-end mirrorless cameras, and those are very expensive. But this setup is, I bought this 5 years ago. The body was $900 and the lens was $350 or $400. I can't remember. I think it was $400. So $1,300 all in. But, that was brand new. If you buy something that's used, you can get a lot better of a deal. I always recommend new photographers buy used gear because you change your mind a lot in the beginning about what you want. Yeah, man, the X100T is a great camera. I got into Fujifilm because I went on a trip one time and I wanted a compact camera, so I rented a Fujifilm X100 and I really loved it. So it's a good, they're good. That's how I got into that. But the F3, that's cool. Sony ambassador in South Africa. I've heard great things about Sony. I haven't tried Sony. A lot of people that I know, my college professor, who is a National Geographic photographer, shot Nikon for a long time, and then he switched to Sony probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. But so don't go too expensive on the gear, because as you shoot more, you'll be like, oh, I actually want a 35 millimeter lens and not a 50 millimeter lens. Because that's how I am. I used to always shoot 50s, but now if I'm shooting one camera, if I'm shooting with only one camera on me, I like a 35 because it's a little bit wider. I like that extra space. But my professor really loves former professor really loves the stuff. If I recognize any of the photos, Susan Sontag's. You know what? I read the first 15, 20 pages, and things have just been crazy hectic lately. And so I haven't read any more of that book, but I do want to get back to it. I'll be interested to see what she has to say. It seemed like she was really kind of in the first, 15 pages or so that I read, she was really shitting all over photographers. So I'll be interested to see, the rest of that. I'm looking here, I'm so I often blur the lines between being in public and private spaces. I'm on this port. I thought this was part of, so I think I'm going to flip this back around. This here, I think this down here is like a public space, but I think this is probably owned by the restaurant. But, it's early and nobody's out here, so I'm going to come up here anyways. All right, I think I've pretty much worked that there. This is interesting. That green, these are nice tones here. So a lot of times I'm drawn to the light. Well, first I let the light show me where to go, and then I see what else draws my eyes. The color here is great. I love the green mixed with the brown of the stool and around here. The stool's up on the bar. That's cool. I like that. So I'm going to shoot a couple frames here. Again, good reflections. This stuff I would like this probably even more with people around. Get some people moving in and out of the shadows. When it's busy and there's a lot of movement, and again, especially carrying a small camera like this, people don't really pay attention. They think, you're just like an amateur walking around snapping some shots. Whereas when I have my Canon DSLRs, it's a big difference. This is cool. That, I don't know, divider type thing. Do more stuff like the Bloomington Gallery. Kyle, I do want to do that. For other people who might not have seen or known, I did a live from the art museum at the university I went to, and they have a great collection of photography prints. And so I, talked to their photography curator and did a live viewing of some of the prints, which I actually put the whole thing up on YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube, it's like an hour and 15 minutes of, looking at prints from like Cartier-Bresson, Edward Weston, William Eggleston, Diane Arbus, and all kinds of stuff. Everything from, Stieglitz. Yeah, we looked at photos and prints from 1850 something all the way up through, I think 2017 was the newest one they had in there. I'm going to shoot a horizontal here so I can see both the, that's kind of nice. I can see both the, so in my frame shooting horizontally. Yeah, you were there. Yeah, I remember you were there too. That's great. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing it. So now that I have that one under my belt, I'm going to start showing it to other museums. This is kind of cool. I think I'm looking at this composition. I like how it's so clear through the glass right there, and then it picks up the reflections above it, and the strong line here. It's a little too blown out over there to have anything interesting. There's not a lot color in the sky. There's some. Maybe if I come down a little bit, it's a little bit better. Oh, she talks about Arbus a lot. Photo prints. Yeah, I might see if there's, yeah, just a small gallery is a good idea too. I should look into that. I've thought about contacting the well, they call it Newfields now. I don't know, it's really confusing. The Indianapolis Art Museum. To see if they wanted to do something. This would be a nice photo with people. This would be a nice photo with people sitting right there like that, and then here, I'd frame up something like that. Yeah, the thing about Arbus is her photos definitely don't necessarily reflect the best in people. Like, there are these moments where people are kind of like, odd or looking odd or disenfranchised, or if you've seen Arbus's photo of the twins, the twin girls, that basically the characters in The Shining are based off of those two twins. That visual of the two twins in the hallway is based off of Arbus's photo. I am like 98% certain of that. I haven't, smoking outside here on the right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if there's somebody like against, that's a good point. If you have something like this, where the person having a plain background behind a person really makes them pop. But the photo of the twins, the twins' parents were quoted as saying, like, I don't know what she did to get that photo. That's not what they look like. I've never seen them look like that in a picture before. And so it's something about her, sensibilities maybe being a little more, bringing her own feelings about humanity into the situation. Just look for little details. I don't know that I'm going to shoot this, but just seeing like the cup on there. I always just look for anything that catches my eye. I at least explore it for a minute to see if I want to do anything further. I like the pattern of these bricks, but I feel like, yeah, why not? Okay, all right, you talked me into it. I usually take the perspective of shoot first, ask questions later. Sorry if I jostle you too much. I gotta get around my strap. I've thought about getting AirPods so I don't get tangled in my wires when I do a live like this, but here we go. Here, I've got a little tripod. I'm just gonna set it down. And here, I'll turn the screen on. When I first got a camera where you could shoot with the screen, I was like, this is so amateur. I will never do this because I'll feel like an amateur. And then very quickly I realized all the things I could do by shooting through the screen. Like hold the camera on the ground without having to lay on the ground. Or hold it over my head and not have to do... We always called that a Hail Mary. When you hold the camera up over your head and point it in the direction you want to go and just pray that the picture turns out. But now with the screen, I'm like, I don't have to just hope that it turns out. Throw it away, yeah. I don't know if I want to touch it. There's a trash can, I'll throw it away. Very subjective. As you can tell, I'm very easily influenced by suggestions. I wasn't going to take the picture, and you said take the picture, so I took the picture. Now you tell me to throw the cup away, so I'm going to throw the cup away. I like this as a pattern, but I feel like I need something more going on, like that. At least add something else to it. I mean, there's definitely a place for these very, for a design element. Yeah, sure thing. Especially when I shoot for clients that I know are going to use my photos in design, I might take something that's just a pattern like that. Yeah, I'm the avatar. Yeah. When I am shooting for clients that are doing graphic design that I know they're going to use my photos as in layouts and stuff, I might take some just like straight textures like this to give them something for a background. I especially like it kind of like a straight on angle. I'm going to go back and achievement unlocked. Yeah, it's good citizen of the earth, of the world, or whatever. Okay. So, I don't know, sometimes I just like a good, graphic, geometric image. And this is where I decide, do I want to come, up higher and make it look kind of straight, or I kind of like this sort of thing better to give more of a sense of perspective from flowing from the front to the back of the frame. Yeah. So my phone I've got this little tripod so I can hold it like a stick. And then my camera, first of all, is around my neck, and it's such a small camera, it's not hard for me to hold it. So something else that I talk about too a lot, and I'm trying to teach people more about is, let's see, I'm shooting at f8. I'm going to try this at f2, and really let that background blur out a bit. And then I'll say what I was going to say. Alabama, good morning. Thanks for coming by. Oh, that's nice of you. I appreciate the kind words. So something I try to talk about more something I want to talk about more about in getting better photos is, I was talking earlier, probably most of you weren't here, about the frame and looking at all the edges of the frame. So, that's kind of the first level of doing things, is looking at all the way around the edges and being cognizant of the edges. That's the first thing I think for new photographers, or people who are newer at photography and trying to get better. But the second thing is, I noticed a lot of people don't use the space from here, like way back over there. A lot of pictures are very flat, and there's something to be said. And this isn't something obviously you need to do all the time. I mean, there's something to be said for just geometric patterns. You're shooting architecture, or you just like the shapes. So this by no means is to say like do this all the time. But I see a lot of people who don't do this ever is using this third dimension. You give your depth to your photos by, like I said, you've got this in the foreground here, and you can tell that it's closer to the camera, and then you look further away, and then you've got this here, and then further away, and you've got that there. I think a lot of people don't use depth very well. They don't know how to do it. Yeah, how much information can you get in the frame? Or things like this. If I stand, here, all right, so you've got the building and the trail, but actually I'm going to do this from the other side because I think it'll look better. Let me come across here. Part of this is going to have to be using your imagination, but so if I come up so here, you've got the building and stuff, okay? Well, let's start here. All right, so you've got the building and you've got the trail. If you get a person running through, that's some depth, but how much more can you add? If it's busier out and there's more people around, you could have some figures standing closer, and then you've got here, there, and then back over there. Or if you really want to do it up, what I like to do is I keep moving back until I find, now imagine that this tree actually had leaves on it. You gotta use your imagination a little bit, but using some leaves to kind of frame up the top, and that also not only frames your photo out, but it gives more depth and more dimension. I think a lot of people don't do that necessarily. Or here, if you're photographing here, but then coming back, if there were people or something on the bench there, and you could have it up closer. And, so I know some people are nervous about having people in their photos, but honestly, in this scenario, if people are sitting here facing that building, they're not going to be recognizable in the photo. So coming up and having these two forms here to add more depth and dimension, I think is something that is a huge way. Oh my God, what the hell is this? This is a new statue, and it's kind of, so here we are. So our town is full of these statues. They buy them. Every year they get another one. Did they get rid of where's the police officer? I wonder if they got rid of him. There's these statues. I don't know. I walked by one over there too. And they're all over the place. Some of them are have golden toned skin, and other one have actual skin tones. And yeah, I think they probably cost about $50,000 to $75,000 a piece. I think somewhere in that range. So we have lots of public art around here, and some of it's that. Something about this one feels a little off. I don't know. Yeah, I hadn't been out shooting very much because here where I'm at in Indiana, it's very gray during the winter, and I the thing that I'm most interested in is photographing light, and so when it's all gray out, I'm not very motivated. I mean, obviously shooting with no sun has some advantages, especially if you're doing portraiture or things like that, but It's also not necessarily as interesting. Here's another one of those statues. This one's been here for a long time. So, well, I could use the people for the scale. Oh, well, this one's so, it doesn't really have, I don't know. There's a lot of this, just walking around being like, oh, I could do that, and then you're like, I don't know. I mean, it gives a sense of what I'm talking about, at least. You know, you've got object or person in the foreground, and then if it was a little busier, you could have people walking through, cars driving through, people on the other side. But a lot of people, I think, could benefit from learning how to, what I call it layering. I think other people maybe call it that too. Is thinking from foreground to background is a big way to make things better. So much of this, I moved here to Carmel in 2000, the very beginning of 2006, and I think that feels right. 2006. This is completely changed. Like, none of these buildings were here at all. There's kind of a nice little fountain back through there, but I don't think there's much photographically right now. Montreal. Yeah, oh man, I'd love to go to Montreal. I thought I was going to get to go shoot that comedy festival in Montreal a couple of years back, but it didn't pan out. I can't remember why, but I don't know, maybe I have another chance at that at some point. Indiana. So Carmel, Indiana is the first suburb north of Indianapolis. If you go around the beltway that circles the city, the highway that circles the city, we're just on the north side of that highway. So, I don't know. I talk a lot about like consent and stuff for photos, but if people aren't recognizable in the photos, if they're really small in the frame, I don't really worry about it. You know, like this here, like there's some good light here with this coming in. I'm gonna see what I can get. You know, if somebody's not recognizable, if it's just a form or just like a shape or whatever. So you've got like just this kind of straight shot with the construction equipment, but like, you know, I like to step back a little bit. Can I add some depth by having this barrier here in some way? Could I shoot like through the barrier? That's kind of interesting. The focus on the phone is going to go to the barrier, but with my camera I can focus in between. Every time. There's one guy in the hole. There's 2 or 3 guys out of the hole. Oh, now there's 3. See? I used to do roofing. I did it for one summer, and it was always the people doing the city projects. We used to watch them because there'd be one guy on the backhoe and like 4 guys standing around. Some people would be self-conscious doing what I'm doing right now, standing and taking pictures. Just, I don't know, I'm about like 25, 30 feet away. But like, I just don't care. I don't mind taking pictures that have people in them. People watch all the time. Again, here I am. I'm standing on the porch of a business. I don't mind stepping onto private property like this because I can just, people tell me to leave if they don't want me there. But it's before any of these businesses are open. This is an interesting scene here. I want to take a few pictures. The light's really nice. I'm going to try a few things out. You can see my final shots I'm going to post as I'll post my final shots as a photo walk video here at some point. This is kind of interesting here too. I like the yeah, What's weirder, being weird or watching somebody be weird? That's funny. It's very meta. Which I'm really, really disappointed with the whole Facebook meta thing, because I really was enjoying using that word meta when it was appropriate. And now anytime I say that or think that, it feels like it's related to the company. I feel like can't say that word anymore. So this would be a good horizontal. I'm not going to turn the camera. Well, maybe I will, just for a second. I like this. You've got this kind of like geometric, neat, tidy, clean, versus all of the mess of the construction over here, divided by this post, and the hedges are very square. Even the hedges, if you look, they're so square right down here. They're perfectly trimmed, and they're a lot like bushier over on the side there. So this is what I'm noticing here. This would be good with a wide angle. I've got, like I said, I've got a 35. It'd be even better, I think, with like a 24. There, like, you got a person coming into the frame, which kind of adds. I like the elements of having people in there. Yeah, I like doing this. It's a lot of fun. I like just getting out and taking pictures. So if I can talk to other people while I'm doing it, it's fun. I enjoy it. I'm going to try this at, let's see, I'm at ISO 200, f5.6, 1/500th of a second. I'm going to go up to, let's take it to 11, as they say. I'll be interested to see what I can do with this when I look at it on the computer. There's something to this kind of here too. The no parking and the, look, here you go. Again, you've got that strong diagonal going right to the corner and leading your eye through the frame. The sign and the arm there, the boom or whatever of the excavator. And a little bit of humor. Not super funny. No parking anytime and a big truck parked right there, but it's something to work with, something to try. The other thing I can do is look. You've got this on one side of the frame. You've got the boom right here, and then you've got the post right there, and you get this kind of like symmetry. So the sign being the center, and then these here like framing up the edges, and then the diagonal. So like, how many of these elements can you find going through? I like to really layer and stack things in the photos. Like, to me, it would be even cooler if I had something to like bring up something going on up here. I mean, sometimes a nice clear sky is perfect, but if I had any way right here to fill up the sky, I could kind of move like that to get the thing in there. I don't know. I'm going to try it both ways. I'm going to try shooting this over here. I'm going to put this right up. So you're pretty much seeing what I'm seeing through the lens here. Still there. I pushed the power button on my phone. Did it cut out there? I pushed the power button with my camera. It's not a foolproof system here. What happens if I get a little bit lower? That's interesting. Now the sign becomes like a third element sticking up out of things there. But I lose some of the bucket on the ground. So, person coming in to clean it up. So, I hear people a lot talk about, okay, now I'm going to step over to get the strand of lights coming through the sky. I hear people talk a lot about Yeah, Travis, totally. I definitely agree with that. If there were people out on the patio and there was someone working in the excavator at the same time, especially, that would be a cool shot for sure. I feel like a lot of people have, not a lot of people, sometimes I hear about this way of thinking with photography, like it's better to, really line up a shot and you take one frame and it's this very, especially when you're talking about how people used to shoot with film, or you're shooting large format where you've got like one shot and then you got to switch everything out, that people are more precious with their frames. But I feel like with digital I don't need to be, so I don't worry about it. I don't care, I like to try a few different things and then see what I like best in post. And I don't know, I don't like to be too precious about it. I will, like wait for a scene to unfold and see what I like. I will wait for a scene to unfold, and like I was saying earlier, wait for somebody to come through a frame or wait for something to happen. But I'll shoot a dozen shots from one scene. I'll shoot 20, 30 shots of variations on one thing. And I don't think there's any reason to be so, I don't know, to act like shooting something in one frame is better than taking, 20 frames to get a shot that you want. I like to try to take some of the do post work. Travis, I have done that before. I should do that again. My post production is very basic. I do pretty much everything in Lightroom. I only use Photoshop occasionally if I'm doing some kind of client work where sometimes if I'm doing some client work that needs some extra stuff, I'll do that, but I'll do Photoshop. But most of the things I'm doing are just basic color and exposure adjustments. That's nice, the shadow on the thing right there. That'd be a good tight shot with like a longer lens. That's not bad with this one as it is. That's kind of cool with the thing in there, with the fencing. So what I was trying to do with my camera right there is make sure, I like to have the full peak. I don't like to cut it off like that. I want to see, like, in an ideal world, I get the top of something and I'm not like cutting things off. This is a nice kind of portrait almost. I'm gonna try something here. All right. So I feel like I worked this scene pretty well. This is kind of an interesting, a lot of lines here with the bars and then the shadow of the bars and then repeated over here and repeated over there. And the pipes in there. Thanks, Travis. I appreciate that. I'm having a lot of fun. I didn't think when I first heard about TikTok, I was like, oh, that's not going to be for me because it's a lot of lip syncing and dancing and stuff. And I kind of wrote it off. And I opened an account, but only because I remember hearing, I think it was, I don't know. People have mixed feelings, opinions on Gary Vee, but I think he says some good stuff. I'm not like obsessed with what he's got going on, but he makes some good points. I remember hearing him say about, always signing up for new social media platforms as soon as they are released, because you don't know, like what's going to take off, and you can get a real foothold in a marketplace by signing up early. So I signed up for TikTok, but then I was like, I don't get this. I don't know what's going on. And I posted a few like ambient kind of nature things, and then I just stopped. That was in 2019, and then my kids got into it early 2021, and I was like, well, if my kids are going to be on here, I want to know, what it's all about. I want to participate, not so much like spying on them, but just being like, I want to know what you're into. I want to know about it. I want to see the things you're making. I want to see how you're being creative. And then, once I started actually posting videos, I saw how cool it was to be able to just like talk about photography, how you could show some more in-depth things like this. And it's been a lot of fun. I've had more fun on here than other social media platforms. I always thought that Instagram would be the one for me because it was about highlighting your work, your photography. But I don't know. I never felt like I ever really ended up getting much out of Instagram. I still do it, but it's such a crowded space, and I feel like so much of what plays on Instagram is really this like false perfection. I'm really into this actually as a photo. The more I looked at it, I think this is more of the framing that I'm going to go with, something like that. It's interesting. Just going to play with it a little bit. But being able to get on here and talk more about photography and advocate for this documentary style of just like shooting daily life sort of things. I said this at the beginning, but I think I probably got a new crop of people in here. Is that here? Let me flip around here. So, when you go on apps like Instagram and things like that, there's so much just this like, it's all about the perfect shot. It's all about, highly edited, exotic locations, unattainable things. And I'm like, there's just such beauty in everyday situations. And if you love photography, like you don't want to wait for your one vacation a year, or maybe some of these vacations are like once every 5 years because they're so expensive. I want to be shooting every day. I want to show the world around me, and I want to advocate for that type of photography, which is why I started doing all this stuff on TikTok. And it's been a lot of fun, both showing my own photography and connecting with people over the photographers that we love. And the photographers that I love, by and large, are doing this sort of thing, like Eggleston or like Stephen Shore, even Cartier-Bresson. I mean, yeah, but he lived in Paris, you know what I mean? So it's not like he was going to Paris and creating these images. Like, that's where he lived and worked. And, he traveled a lot, but everywhere he traveled, it was about showing real life. It was about showing what was happening and the people, getting a sense of the place, and not these just like pristine, shots. So that's what I'm here to like talk about and advocate for. And it's been a lot of fun doing all this stuff on TikTok here. So we've got a little more, I don't know. I might get wandering closer and get it. Yeah. I think it's something to show people about the beauty in everyday life and in the world. And the commercial work that I do, it's taking a documentary approach to commercial work. So it's about storytelling for businesses and organizations too, like not-for-profits I work for a lot, because I can show how donations are being used. I can show, who's benefiting from money that's being donated to these not-for-profits. And it helps people see, But anyways, a lot of the businesses that I work with, they're like, I don't know what you're going to get photos of around here, because they're there every day. They're seeing it every day. It's the same thing with people in their town. They don't think much of it because they see it every day. But to be able to see it photographed in like an interesting and beautiful way, then it can really, affect people and change perspectives and stuff. I'm going to get really close for a second. All right, I'm going to leave these guys alone now. But here, let me show you what I was just trying there. Let's see if we can see it in the shade. It's dark on the screen, but I was trying for some real high contrast. I like that. The light hitting their faces and shooting from kind of an angle behind them, and just really like kind of underexposing it. Let's see if I can find a real high contrast. I think I'm gonna like that one. So the forms, that's good. And the composition, some rule of thirds there with those two guys on the left, and then the bucket being there on the right third there. So yeah, not bad. Let's see where else I can go from here. This is the business owners on this street get so pissed off because they're always shutting down these areas for construction. Like, this is the butcher shop I go to. I've been going here since 2006. I know all the people there. He's always like, they're closing off the street again. They're closing because they have events on the street a few times a year. Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for coming by. You have a great day, too. Here we go. Kind of a selfie. That's cool. So I don't know, I really look for like when I have time, if I'm shooting in something that's moving a lot, I really just get in there and try to work as many different angles as I can. If I have a little more time to look, I'll do things like when I was taking this picture. So this again is another high contrast photo. On my camera, the shadows went to black. So it's like completely black here. And at first where I was standing, my arm was like in the yellow lines here, but I liked to bring it back so I was just not quite touching the line and having that as more of a part of the frame instead. So I don't know, sometimes I talk about like, a lot of times people have questions about what they're allowed to photograph when they're out in public, as far as like, people or things, or, do you have to ask people permission, or when do you need to? And the thing about that is it depends largely on how you're going to use it. If I want to feature a person prominently in a photo, if it's possible to ask, I ask. It also depends on, hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate you. If it's possible to ask if someone's going to be featured in the photo, but like when I'm shooting a scene and there's just people in the background, or they're not really recognizable, I might not, I can't stop all the time. Now the laws are different everywhere, but in the United States, anything in public you can take photos of. No one can tell me that I can't take their photo. You can even, if there's people sitting in the window of a business, I'm on public property, I can photograph this scene and the people, because in the United States there's a phrase, reasonable expectation of privacy. So if you're in public, you don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy. The business is a private business, but if you're sitting in the window in full view of a public place, then you don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy, even if you're in a private space. If someone's got an apartment and they're right on like a busy walkway, if this were a home, an apartment this close to a public sidewalk, if they're in their window, they don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy. Now, I'm not advocating for photographing people in their homes, even when you're legally allowed to do it. I just like to tell people, like what's allowed. I like people to know, what the laws are and what they can do or can't do. So if it's visible from a public place, you can take photos. It gets to be, a little more questionable. If now this place is closed, so I'm just going to look up here. I mean, it can be a little more questionable, like getting right up, but I'm still on public property. This window's so dirty I can't see through, but you get what I'm saying. So anyways, a lot of people are curious about, what the rules are, what the laws are, how all that stuff works. So let's see. If you're just stopping by, my name's Zach. I'm a documentary and commercial photographer. I've been, doing this full time as my business for 16 years. I do mostly commercial work, advertising. I do some, hello ZP992, good to see you. I hope you're having a great morning. I'll be seeing you soon for sure. So most of my business is doing advertising photography. My background is in journalism. That's what I went to school for. And that's the approach that I take with all of my work, is like a documentary approach and storytelling. So that's what I'm on TikTok to do and talk about, is just kind of, telling stories and documenting life and photographing where you're at. There's a lot of great photo opportunities everywhere. This is strong shadow is cool. It can be neat too when you can, get how much of a frame can you get in the shadow, and then just have people coming out of the shadow. This, you're not going to see the contrast on the phone. In this phone, in the video that you're seeing, you can see very well into the shadows. But when I'm shooting with my camera, I can set it so that the shadows basically fall to black. Now, in my opinion, this building is a little too busy to get a good photo of people coming out of the shadows here. So I'd rather have more of a plain backdrop behind, so the people on the trail would pop more. So I do these photo walks to talk about like what my process is of trying to find good photos in everyday situations, to kind of just document and shoot the world around us and do it in an interesting and engaging way, to take beautiful photos of just kind of normal everyday situations. So for me, I'm really looking at light first. I'm looking, especially in the morning where these long shadows are coming in, I'm seeing where does the light fall, what's the light hitting. Other things that I look for are composition, like patterns, repeating patterns. Something like this. This is kind of cool. I like how this one, it frames it up on the side and then curves out. When you have lines moving through your photos, it draws people's eye. It makes them look at the photos longer because their eye will like flow through. So this is a real kind of basic way to do that. You've got shadow, you've got the straight lines of the bars, you've got the curved lines of the step. So I'll look for anything like this that's just kind of an interesting geometric thing going on. Take a couple frames. It's not going to win any awards, but it's like, it's practice, getting out and shooting. It's practice so you develop an instinct. So I don't have to consciously, I've been doing this for so long, I don't have to consciously like look for these things. I just start to notice them. Patterns, lines, shadows, and things like that. And then, the more you practice and those basic elements of composition come together, and then what your focus is on is the subject, maybe the people or the life of the scene, and you don't have to like think about those basic elements, you know, the more you do it. Hey, thank you. This has been great. I never would have imagined I'd have such a great experience on TikTok and connecting with people over photography, and you know, having people say that they feel inspired to get out and take pictures is really, it's really amazing. It's great to you know, that people feel inspired by the things that I'm sharing here, and you know, that really means a lot to me, and I appreciate that. Color is something I like to look for too. Not just like the quality of the color. Has a nice, you're basically seeing the same color I'm seeing. It's a pretty good representation. It's got some warmth to it. And I like the simplicity here. I mean, you basically got the two colors. You've got, you know, black or very dark gray. I think it's black. And the lighter brown. So having an eye for color, like what colors pop to you. This is very simple. I don't know that I'm going to take this picture, but it's worth looking at. So how can I pull this into something else? So I know the color stood out to me, and also the dimensionality of it. Like how you can make it kind of three-dimensional by getting closer. And what can I do with that if I scan around? I don't know. If there were people here, that'd be kind of interesting, but I'm not seeing anything there. If I scan around, okay, now I've got these lines here. Frame up this side, frame up that side, and then look, I can move straight up, and I'll kind of get myself from the reflection there. I'll move like down or up. I kind of like having my edges square when possible, so as opposed to like this, where it like makes a diagonal, you get some of that keystoning. I like to turn it flat and move, like, instead of tilt up or down, move up or down. So if I come here, I like having these two lines, and if I come straight down, I can pull more of that in. All right, so that's more interesting. And then if I swing in a little closer here, now I've got more dimensionality, because this one is very close to the camera, and it gives me a little foreground to background kind of, you know, especially if I'm shooting. I'm going to shoot at like f2, and then come on, camera, wake up. My camera fell asleep on me. Here we go. I'm going to put my phone right next to this and just try a couple shots like that. I'm trying to hold both things at the same time. And so that's, you know, I don't know, it's worth a try. You know what I mean? So you can kind of see what I'm doing if I get my reflection in here. I've got my phone on this like little, little tripod that also serves as a handle. And then my camera is pretty compact here. I've got my Fujifilm mirrorless because it's nice and light and easy to shoot with. With the 30, it's a 23 millimeter lens, which is the equivalent of a 35 millimeter. So it's basically a 35 millimeter lens. This to me is kind of interesting, how the plant's like pressed up against the glass. So you've got these plants like pressed flat against there. I don't know if there's something I can do with that. I think too, something that you can think of, so if you want to get more, any kind of dimensionality you can give, like foreground to background. So if you get up close to like a wall, like I'm right up next to the glass, and you get this sense of closeness on the right side of the frame. This is just to demonstrate showing the dimension. It's not that interesting of a photo, but my phone is basically like right up against this. So I'll put my phone, and then you get more dimension moving away. And if this was further away, you get even more like that. So I don't know, I'm gonna see if there's anything. I think with the reflection of the plant against there, it's kind of interesting. Kind of like how the wind is blowing the covering in the reflection. I mean, that's not going to show up in a still photo, obviously, but it makes a kind of nice like B-roll. Let's see what I can do with this. Anything? Maybe I'll do like a photo of myself. Here, I have an idea. I'm going to try something here. I want to see what happens if I look. So here's another thing. Again, talking about how high or low you're putting the camera. Okay, so the camera, my phone is on eye level right now, all right? And look behind me, that building. So it gets kind of like muddled, the building behind me. But if I drop down lower, now I've got sky behind me, and it's a lot clearer of a form without the building behind me. So I'll shoot one with the building behind me for demonstration purposes. I'm kind of digging this on the camera. There's more, the shadows go black. There's more to it. Now, if I come down, let me see what that looks like. I'm going to try to shoot this with my camera and hold the phone at the same. The background is a lot more plain. Trying to get on the LCD on my camera. Wait, oh, I know what I'm doing. Hold up. Trying to operate a camera and phone at the same time gets a little complicated. All right, let's see what you can see what I'm looking at. Here, I'm gonna set this down. If you see my photo, if you see my phone start to move away suddenly, somebody's stealing it. I'm not worried about that around here. Here, watch. All right, I'm gonna walk away for a second. So if I'm up here, all right, I really have no idea whether that's going to work or not. I'm going to post results, I don't know when, either later today or tomorrow. All right, headphones plugged back in. I don't think I'm going to have that much more time out shooting here today. Let's just do a quick walk around here. So I'm happy to answer any questions while I'm walking or even when I'm taking pictures. I can multitask. I'm pretty good at that. Taking photos is pretty second nature to me, so I can, do it while I'm having a conversation. That's kind of a nice silhouette. That's kind of a nice silhouette against the background there. Here, sorry, I'm gonna jostle you a bit because I gotta adjust my camera. I like the silhouette. See, I'm silhouetting people, so I'm not as worried about, identities and stuff, or people talk a lot about getting permissions and whatever, and I do frequently, but if it's just a silhouette or a shadow, I don't worry about it because, people aren't identifiable. You know, somebody's running through. I'm going to try. So something about this area here is like, look, I can get down lower than the ground level here. So I could get down really far if I wanted to silhouette somebody like against the sky or the building there. I'm going to try. There's some people coming through up here. How you doing? If you're wondering, yes, I did take that shot. It's kind of interesting. It was worth a try, right? All right, I think I'm going to keep moving here. I don't have a whole lot of battery left. This is a spot where it's good for if you've got a lens and you can shoot and you get the like tunnel effect, especially in the summer and fall when the leaves are there. Fall, I mean especially, yeah, you get the leaves coming around there. What gift do you think I can give to a person just starting out in street photography? Well, part of that depends on depends on your budget. If you're talking, I'm assuming you're not talking about buying someone a camera or a lens. What kind of accessories might be good to do? You could do, I mean, again, yeah, it depends on budget. I mean, bags, if they don't have a good bag or a bag that they like. I've Think Tank Photo is a partner of mine, and I don't know if I can show you my bag. I'm kind of layered here, and I love their bags. I mean, I partnered with them because I love their bags, so I could really like vouch for their stuff. This is the one that I use for my mirrorless. I mean, it's got a real cool, the fabric is nice. You know, the interior is really nice. It's got a lot of pockets. There's smaller sizes. This one's a little larger than maybe I would use for regular street photography, but they make a smaller size of this bag. It's called the Retrospective. This is the Retrospective 5. I think there's like a 4 and a 3 that are a little bit smaller. And they make like a mirrorless bag too, but I like this one. So there's that, but I mean, you know, that could be like $100 or something if you didn't want to go quite that level. There's this account on TikTok. They're called Photogenic. I think their handle is just Photogenic. If you look Photogenic or Photogenic Supply or Google their website, they've got a whole bunch of accessories. They've got some cool straps. So like an interesting camera strap could be good. Or like, you know, they've got like t-shirts and some cool socks and things like that. They've sent me some things that I like a lot. So things like that are good. Oh yeah, that's a great point. Photo books. Street photography photo books. Something like Robert Frank's The Americans. Is a great book. It's like a foundational book for street photography. Robert Frank or who else? You know, any of those guys. Gary Winogrand, Lee Friedlander. William Eggleston is less of what I'd call a street photographer, but he's kind of like everyday life photographer. I mean, he does shoot out on the streets, but William Eggleston's one of my favorites. Stephen Shore's book I just checked out from the library was really amazing. Stephen Shore, Uncommon Places. He just photographed like everyday life scenes, traveling around the country, cityscapes and inside of hotel rooms and things like that with most of the pictures were with a large format camera. So the detail in them is incredible, just an incredible level of detail in the photos. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that. There's a lot of great photography books too. So here, this is a good spot. The light coming through the building here. If I get in a certain area, I could show the sun itself if I want to just get it. So you notice that quickly it gets so blown out, but if you get to where it's just on the edge of something, it can add a nice effect, and it's going to look different through the camera than it does on this phone. So, I don't know, maybe I'll take this picture. Oops. Oh, for crying out loud. My camera was not set up for this picture. And the car was right, half in, half out. That was kind of nice. But I didn't have my camera set up. I didn't have my camera on the right settings. So I did not get that. What am I shooting at? F8. The dog's not bad in distance. I'd rather have coming right up through the... Let me try a lower angle and see what I think. I don't know if I like that as much. It's not quite as interesting. There's the dog coming through here. Sure. I can write, where's the, how do I leave a comment? Where did that go? Interact? No? Comment. Here, I'll type them in while I look at the scene here. Let's see. Robert Frank. So those are a few photographers and books. Here, let me add. I don't have a specific book for Gary Winogrand, but I'll put him in there. Those are all good. So, all right. I've been out for a while. I'm gonna start heading back here. My battery's low. So I've got probably about 5 minutes or so till I get back to my car and head out. So if anybody has any other questions before I sign off for the day, I'm happy to answer any questions. Usually while I walk back to my car, I still end up seeing more photos to take. So I'm technically like I can see my car from here, but you know, if I stop to take a picture or something, it might take me a little longer. When you get out and shoot, you notice, yeah, you're welcome. You really start to notice how quickly the light moves when you're watching the shadows and taking pictures of the shadows, you know, in one spot within, you know, minutes, it'll be different. So that's what I love about just getting out and shooting what's there, is that it changes so much. It's so different, even in the same places every time that you go out. So, part of what I like to advocate for here is getting like great everyday photography, just showing your town, you know, your house, your neighborhood, like hundreds of thousands of people go. I love the national parks. I love to visit. I love to go photograph there. There's so many pictures out there of the national parks. Like, I want to see some things that I can't see if I, went there. I want to see, people having a barbecue with their family. I want to see, people's, homes or yards or things that they want to share. Just to see. Yeah, I'm in Carmel. You knew it right away. Are you nearby? I like to, I want to see what only you can show me. I've said this in videos before, like, there's 1,000 photographers or more walking around New York City at any given moment. So show me your small town. You might be the only person in your town who goes out and takes pictures. You can have Nora, okay. I've been trying to think of some places to do photo walks that are closer. I don't want to have to go to like all the way downtown Indy. I've thought about Broad Ripple. If you have any other suggestions, let me know. This is kind of interesting, this line through here. Southeast Indy, hey, thanks for stopping by. That's not bad. That like strong diagonal shadow through there and having the ground there. I had the guy with his dog and the person passed through the frame. I do want to get downtown and do a photo walk around downtown Indy. Again, I'm looking for the light, and the way I saw the light hitting these plants and the color, it's not. I haven't spent much time down there. I don't get out very often. That's kind of interesting. This is a lot more contrast in real life than what you can see on the phone here. I like the colors and the light coming in, the strong shadows. If I can get a shot, I can show you here. Sorry, I'm trying. Oh, Irvington, that's a good idea. I haven't really spent any time around Irvington. Is there much around? Well, that's not quite. It's not Irvington, like the near. Yeah, I know where Irvington is. But there's like the near. Is it called the Near East Side around like 10th Street? It seems like there's more stuff being built up around there, like where that brew, 18th Street Brewery is down there. It seems like that might be a good spot to walk around and have a place to get a beer afterwards. When will I be doing more lives? Well, now that the weather's coming up better, I'm going to try to do a weekly live, and I'm not sure which days or times I'm going to do yet. Saturday morning, Friday midday. I like doing them more in the morning or the evening. Evenings are tough because I have 5 kids, and we've got dinner and family stuff in the evening. So I'd probably stick more to the mornings or even the afternoon. I think it wouldn't hurt to do some photo walks where I talk about how do you shoot in that midday light. It's more challenging, but there's things you can do with that. Here, I'm gonna step over here a second, see if I can see what I got there. I think if I could do, for people that are in the Indy area, I've had some people express an interest in doing like a photo walk with people. I took some variations on this. I feel like there might be something there. The color's nice. I like the lines and the shadow. I think there might be something there to work with. It's hard to see while I'm out. But I at some point I'll probably host something. I've had a number of people say they'd love to come shoot. Would love to come shoot with me, and I think that'd be fun. So, no, North Fork Whiskey. I don't know where that is. I'll have to look that up. Between having small kids and a pandemic, like I don't go out anywhere to do Like, I don't go out to restaurants or bars or other parts of town, really, because it's always like a whole thing. It's a big thing to get out. Yeah, right, David Byrne. I said in a video earlier this year, my goal was to take a picture of David Byrne this year. I'd like to photograph his Broadway show or something. Would be awesome. I suppose I'd accept him just passing in the street. It could happen. There's some interesting kind of shadow and detail right here. I might do something with that. My battery is really low, so if I cut out suddenly, that's where I went. I'll try some stuff here and see what I like. Yeah, but I've been out for like an hour, probably about an hour and 45 minutes. So, all right, it's probably time for me to call it. All right, well, this is see, the light is so good. It's so nice around. It's supposed to be warm today, like 72, which I can hardly believe. Yeah, all right. So I could just do this all day. I could and would do this all day if I can find a way to. Yeah, the dog was cute. If I can find a way to start getting paid for my TikTok stuff, I'll do it all the time. So I'm working on that. I'd like to spend even more time doing some of these videos and lives and stuff, but so far these have not been money-making ventures. So I'm going to keep talking while I walk by because I don't want to do any things here. But I haven't been able to find a way to start bringing in some income from these things. But if I get to that point, I'll be able to spend more time doing them. So some of these lives I might just post on my YouTube, just the full thing. I've done that a couple times, just posted the full live on YouTube. Sometimes people on YouTube get mad because the format is vertical because I'm doing the live on TikTok, and they're like, oh, I hate vertical videos on YouTube. I'll just have to get over it, I guess. But